Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Sorry we're
Hello.
a little bit late, but we were just trying to get everything fixed with two people on stream and two people sharing screen, possibly. So just getting all that set up. But welcome to the first Monday stream. I think
Woohoo.
this will probably be. Oh, thank you for the subscription, A to the J.
Well, thank you.
This will probably be the only stream for the first couple weeks. I know Sin was saying that she has a lot of stuff going on, so she'll need to take a little bit of a break for the next couple weeks. And then me and Madison are both super busy with Luma. So she has a new background from last time you guys have seen, I think.
Yeah, I moved everything around, so now I'm back out where I was like a year ago.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So we combine days because we're both working at Luma, working pretty long hours. We're also both doing overtime for getting the new rig out. So we combine both of our days. So, she can use her drawing strengths. I can use my technical savviness. I guess
And
you could
together we
my
can make one
cubeness.
competent animator.
Yeah, I can bring my cubes to the challenge. Madison can bring her drawing skills, and we
Make
can
it to a
both give
cube.
competent
Well, I
animation
wouldn't promise
analysis.
that. We're all give animation advice, but not competent.
Yeah. Also, hello Kashep. Welcome to the stream. But
Oh, also,
today,
Pratham, I chopped off my hair. That's
oh
probably
yeah,
what Pratham's
that's
saying
also
too.
why she looks different. She chopped off her hair.
Lots of changes over here.
But we're gonna do a little bit of feedback. We're also gonna be doing some rig prep because I don't know if I should say it, but I'm going to. The rig is releasing December 20th for pre orders. And then we're releasing the rig for the universe to have on January 3rd. So
A brand.
we have a very robust promotion strategy that we're going to do, which includes animating actual shots for the rig so people can see what it can do, as well as a whole host of other things. So I've been working like 15-hour days for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But so
Dan's gonna
tonight,
take a 1 month sleep after the rig comes out. So
but the goal right now is we've already got promotions done for the name reveal. We're going to do a big name reveal on social media. And then we're going to release shots when we release the rig for pre orders and then regular orders. So tonight's going to be a mix of feedback. And yes, I will be hibernating. But today will
yeah.
be a mix of feedback as well as just me animating my shot with the new rig so you guys can see a little bit of what the new rig can do. And Madison will be doing poses. So she's going to be going over how to set up a pose library for a rig or a new shot because pose library is a tool that should not be used incorrectly, but should be used correctly. Put it that way.
Don't abuse Pose Library.
Because, like, in essence, in the very base essence, you can do what a pose library does in Maya without the tool. Hello, Quosny.
It's John.
Hello. But for example, if you're about to start a shot, you could go to frames -20, -30, -40, whatever, and just pose out a bunch of poses, just every frame. And then you could go and start animating your shot, and you could just middle mouse drag those poses where you want them and hit S to paste them. That, in essence, is what Pose Library does. That is amazing. Using other people's poses as a student is not good at all. Not good. If you're a professional, if you're competent posing things, maybe you can start using other people's poses. But for
Or
me,
if you're just tired and jaded and have been animating in a long time, you can use
exactly.
Pose Library. I'm not competent, but I'm not a professional. But no, John, I don't. It's illegal. This isn't even a big one, okay? This is a pretty small mug compared to what I usually have. So don't judge me.
But oh, so
Pose Library.
we're gonna show how to do a pose library, but what you should do is um, build your own poses before you ever start your shot, and then use those poses in your shot. Build your own phonemes, kind of like I showed 2 weeks ago. Build your own phonemes in the mouth library and use
Yeah.
those for your shot. And build a new one every single time you start a shot. And every time you do a new shot, you're going to get better at building those phonemes, which is going to prepare you for using a phoneme library when you get to a professional environment, when you have
Yeah.
to use it, somebody else's poses. You'll be really good at blending, meshing, matching, taking poses and refining them, all those good things, that's going to teach you to do that. And this is also going to teach you for a time when maybe your job asks you to build phonemes and you're like, I don't know how to do this. Help.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a crash course on how to build your own, how to use your own, and all those good things. So that's kind of the agenda for today's stream. Also, John, this is why she's on my stream, so that I can make sure she doesn't break the law.
I will break the law all I want. That's what pulls in the views, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, we're simping out for the views now.
Yep.
This is what it's come to.
That's why we combined our powers of dumbness.
Yeah. One competent, not one full animator, not competent. That's what we say. But
exactly.
All right, so let's get started. I think somebody sent us a sync sketch link for walk cycles, so Madison's going to be giving draw over notes that I could never give, and I will be giving input as we go, as I also set up my scene to show some animation stuff. So without further ado, I will try to
flip over, hopefully, and everything works. Yeah,
and
do it for the views. Hey, that's snazzy. Look at us go. Whoa.
We're cool.
I'm gonna go that far.
I will.
Okay, let me take a look. We have a happy walk. This is looking really good. Like, honestly, I'm only gonna have super minor notes since you're in blocking already. Since you're only in blocking, like, I'll give you just some basic like pose related notes. Also, if you guys can't hear me, let me know. I still need to move my microphone because I realized I'm talking this way when I'm drawing, but my microphone's this way, and it's as far as it will come over. So let me know if it's unbearable. But yeah, this is looking really good so far. Just a couple of posing things like I would keep in mind. I know this is like a happy double walk, a double bounce walk. So you have some more poses here that you normally would. One thing that I would still like keep in mind with your vanilla walk, kind of the same principles apply of make sure you have your straights on your contact poses. So like here, right, maybe the hips are up a little bit more, you know, and you have the straight. So maybe this makes your back leg maybe a little bit higher. So maybe the hips are a little bit higher here to get that front leg a little bit more straight. And then that will probably lessen some of the bend of your back leg. And then you're going to go into this. Since you're going into this here, something that could just be nice from like a posing perspective is when you do this, since you're in a double bounce like this, you're going to kind of like stay in this extreme of like the bounce up, right? To really exaggerate that TY to make this a happy walk. Maybe bring up this leg a little bit more. And maybe even like have the rotation of this be a little bit more. So think of like the letter P, but like the toe is going to come out a little bit. So the rotation just is like a small posing thing you could do to make this read a little bit more.
Hello, I
a
am.
little cleaner. Hey, and then here possibly, because this foot is very high up, which I like, in TY, I might want to carry that through a little bit here, because this is, I'm looking solely at like where actually this ankle is. It goes down pretty far there's a pretty big pop in TY from here to here, and then it's not as much there, so maybe we lift this up a little bit. Something like that, possibly. And again, these are going to translate to all of your poses, all of your extreme ups. This is going to be for all of them in the shot, in the cycle. And then here, that's going to give you more room to also, again, a contact, bring the hips up just a bit. Oops. If I could draw correctly. Right, you're gonna want something a little bit more like that, because especially since this is, you have this big antic before the jump, you're gonna want to really push this straight leg here, because having the leg straight and then bend down far, that's what's gonna give you that like wind up for him to jump. And I would just watch out how high you have this leg. I might try something a little bit more. Let's see. Maybe not on the ground. Maybe something a little bit more like this. Just so that way, once you like get into splining this foot that's coming off from the back of the contact is going to have like a nice arc of this still. So it's still your basic vanilla walk cycle, like this arc, but just it's going to be extreme, like we kind of like that. Ooh, we have questions. Let me finish this thought and then I will look at that and we will discuss. So yeah, that, and also like just watch out with your blocking. It looks like you have like an extra key here. Just cleanliness sake, it's always nice to get rid of those. That way you don't, or if that's keys and spline or something. Yeah, that'd be my main notes of posing stuff from the side. I think there's just extra extra frames. It's like, what am I missing? So that would be my main posing notes from the side, from the front. Let's take a look. Nice.
And also, I'm going to be a good animator super quick and go get
What?
a big glass of water to bring back because
Hydrate.
I need hydration. I will be back in 1 minute while Madison critiques.
Yes. Go, go. So for this front view, one thing that I would say is just as a general rule of thumb, whenever you're doing a cycle, obviously there's always going to be exceptions to this, but generally you're never going to want the feet to be at like 0 rotation, just straight on towards camera. So always angling them out in Y rotation a little bit, either out or even in on a very caricatured walk cycle. But like here, I would bring them out a little bit in Y, just that way it's a little bit more appealing to look at. And it's very rare that you watch a person walk from a front view, like a real life person on film, that their feet are perfectly symmetrically straight. A lot of times there's some rotation one way or the other. More often than not, it's like turned out this way. So it's always nice to kind of add that. So you kind of end up with something a little bit more like this, like the toes pointing outward, right? And then even this, you know, you might have, this is a little extreme when I'm drawing, but maybe you'd have something like this, right? So there's some rotation. Oh, that was quick, Dan.
I left to get water to be healthy and came back with something way unhealthier.
Kids.
Listen,
With a
John.
barrel or John.
I left to get water, it came back with Coca-Cola, so.
Is it coffee Coke?
Yes, it is.
Disgusting.
It's gonna be a fine night.
John, what vendetta do you have against my massive like tea mugs? Listen.
Listen,
it
just
helps
for
me
that,
get as many as I can.
just
What?
for that, John, whenever we make Bake It to a Cube merch, it's gonna be in barrel-sized coffee
Huge.
mugs.
Yeah. just to make John mad.
Yep.
Okay, so on your passing pose, right, which is kind of going to be like your right before your extreme up here, but it's going to be higher up than normal. Make sure that you're getting a little bit of like TX with the hips of side to side, actually moving in screen space. Like you have some really nice rotations going on right now, but I would bring it over this way a little bit, right? Which would kind of go into what I was saying with like the foot. And again, maybe I possibly drew this too much, but something like this will help, right? Because when you're passing, think of like all the weight is on this leg, theoretically, even though technically they're jumping, right? But you're gonna have to be over that leg to jump, and then in the air is when you're gonna come back. So this is good, like you'd be coming from here to here. And on your contacts, that's when pretty much your center of gravity, because both feet are contacted on the floor. So your center of gravity is going to be right in between these 2 feet. So that's where you're good. And then on this down, like you'll start coming over. So basically it's gonna be, you know, your TX curve is gonna be like this. Thinking of this is your down, side to side. You're basically gonna have something like that. And also, I may tone down the Y rotation in the chest because right now it just feels like very wide compared to movement. Like I'm seeing a lot of like the side of the body here. If I'm think of it in like a blocky way, like this is kind of like the front. I'm kind of getting something like that. So I might try to get something a little bit more like this. Like just really lessening that Y rotation so you're not getting as much of it. But I like what you have, so basically just taking what you have and toning it down in the Y. And also with the Z rotation of your hips, those hips dropping down on your passing pose here, that's when your hips are going to be the most dropped. So you kind of drop them here, which is correct, because like you're going to drop like on the down, and then going into the passing, that's when you're going to have the extreme of your hips dropping down on like rotate Z, because that leg, all that weight here is just like hanging down and gravity's pulling those hips, and this leg is countering that by going up. And like, so thinking of like the hips as a block, you know, and then you have a stick like pushing it up, it's going to push the other side down, or this is going to pull it down, right? So and then here you're going to start to back to neutral, and the hips are pretty much going to be neutral Z rotation on your contact. Yeah, honestly, I would say that's kind of my main notes on this, unless Dan has anything that he sees that he could call out quick.
Let me take a once over again. I think you hit basically everything I had to say.
Yeah, because like now it's just kind of about like splining and refining the motion.
Yeah, and again, it's like splining is going to be relatively the same process that you did before for this, Nikki. And so that's kind of just repetition and getting better every time you do it, which will be very, very important, because every time you splined a walk before, like the first one, second one, it got better. So this one, your goal is to try to get better with splining this shot, but also with the blocking, it's like, how can we make splining as easy as possible by getting our blocking as good as possible? So all the notes
Yeah.
that Madison has here are going to be very, very, very helpful, because especially with the front of like arcing the legs inwards and outwards, that's just going to make your life so much easier, because in blocking, sometimes things look good and then you switch to spline and it's like, oh, whoops, that doesn't look good. And then you have to reanimate it, but then it's in spline and it's harder to do than blocking. So really refining your poses and blocking is super important. And I think Madison basically hit all the notes that I would have had. So really, really nice job. But
Yeah, actually Dan mentioned a good thing that I forgot to even draw, but yeah, arcing the foot inwards and like translate X will help a lot. Just make it feel really natural and organic. So like here you start off with your contact, like rotating the foot out Y a bit, and as it comes in, like your ankle's going to start to come in this way towards the center of the body or towards the other leg, right? And then here that's going to be like the extreme. This is obviously, I'm drawing this a little pushed and I would normally actually do it, but it's going to come in and then it's going to start to come out. So basically with the foot arc, if I were to track it, you're going to get like this almost. I struggle with using stretchy legs on this rig. Can you help with that technically? Oh, I've never used this rig before, so I'm not sure like what the issue is that you're having, but like, are you having issues turning the stretchy leg on or dealing with it stretching too much or not stretching at all? Like what issue are you struggling with?
and that is something that I can help with, because I
There
have
you
the
go.
rig. So give me 1 second and I will actually switch screens.
Perfect.
And let's see if we can make some magic happen in a second. Also, I hate that Maya's preset decides when to save something in the next. Because I UV edited once a week ago. And now every time I open Maya, it's in the UV editing window. Makes me so angry.
Save a new preset. I've got 6 named Madison. They all do different things. While you're doing that, Dan, I can answer Pratham asked question. Yes. Like flipping the shot when you have shot blindness, like horizontally, is there something you can do for audio when you're sick of it? Change the pitch, maybe. Thanks. My recommendation is turn off the audio and work on something that doesn't require it.
Yep.
That's what I would do. Like if I have a shot that the audio specifically is like, the lip sync, usually 9 times out of 10, it's a dialogue. I've had shots before, just had a shot at work where it's no dialogue, but I have to use some audio cues in it. If I'm not working on anything that's related, like, if it's lip sync or a specific movement that needs to hit on a shot audio beat, I turn it off. I don't want to hear it. Either I take my headphones off and turn the volume off on my computer, or I, right click on your timeline, say like, don't play audio, no audio. And just don't deal with it. Don't listen to it, because otherwise you will go insane. And that way, when you do have to listen to your audio and work on the lip sync or anything in your animation that pertains to the audio that has to hit at a certain time, then you can turn it on and not want to throw your computer through the window. That's my advice for dealing with getting sick of your audio.
Yep.
My sage advice.
And with that, let me do some magic. And yay, look at that. We have a new... Okay, so stretchy legs. Right now, there are no stretchy legs. So let's see what we can do to make the legs stretchy. Set that to 1. And Nikki asks, can I keep the leg bend like that in the context for the personality that I'm going for? Let's switch back really quick. And can you flip back to the contact and we can look at it?
Yeah. So like, place where I didn't draw over it. So like here would be a contact. I mean, technically you could.
You could. So here's my thoughts on it as well. Let me pull up the sync sketch really quickly. Oops. I'm covering up.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me find... 1 second. Switch it to this one while I open this up, and then switch it to this one so that now I can switch it back and open up. There we go. Okay.
Why don't I go to mod view? Hold on. We're getting... Okay, there we go.
Oh, there's...
We just got... Do you have followers? Would you like followers?
I can't remember what the thing is. Exclamation mark ban? No.
There we go. I got it.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I accidentally made him a moderator before I deleted it.
Beautiful. Mod this man. Get him in.
There we go. Yep.
But, so to answer your question, Nikki, I think you could keep... So let's just go to this contact. So you could keep this bent if you wanted to. But the problem you're going to run into is the fact that here, let's just start. Okay, right here, the leg is bent. Right here, the leg is bent. Right here, the leg is bent. Here, the leg is bent. And here, the leg is bent. So you're having the leg bent the entire time. It's going to make the legs feel almost like locked, right? As if like they can't open up, and it's going to make them feel very locked. So if you wanted to, you could keep this contact pose bent, but you would need to have this pose, let's say, for example, like maybe your up pose is here, so maybe it's, this pose. You have a straight leg. So you go from straight leg here to bent leg here. So you have this one. This one. So do you see what I mean? Like, so you have your up pose here, and then you straighten, and then you straighten, and then you bend, right? So you can
Yeah.
have your contact bent, but just know that you will need to get a straight pose to then go into a bent pose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and with that, let me transition back to just chatting to people real quick.
We're playing OBS chess.
Okay. So that.
Oh, wait, no, it's your Discord. There we go.
What?
I don't know why. It keeps showing your Discord.
Oh, because I'm really dumb. That's why.
Oh, good job.
And I have the
There
left.
we go.
1 second.
I think it's us now.
Switch this. See, this is why we're streamers, because we know exactly what we're doing at all times.
Yeah. Give us 1 second. We're figuring.
And we're back. So basically, if for anybody who wants to stream, if you have 2 people, you have to track everything through Zoom, which is on my left monitor, which means typically I keep all my chats and OBS and everything on my right monitor. That way I can animate in the middle one, keep my Zoom clean on the left one, and have all my chats on the right one. But then I accidentally had Discord on the left one, so every time I would pop it up, it would cover up the images, and then stuff would pop up. And then Madison was spamming with messages, being like, "Hey, take the link," and I was like, "I don't know where the link is." And then I popped it up, and I started sharing Discord. So
we are pro streamers. We know things. How not to stream specifically.
We are cool now. We never make mistakes.
No.
And I can go back to animation tips. Okay, so to answer your question, Nikki, in order to get the stretchy legs, what you will need to do is just from the very beginning. Hello, Joe Animates. Welcome to the stream. You'll need to select this control, turn stretch to 1. So turn it on to 1 and leave it on 1 the entire animation. So you're not going to want to animate this. So if you turn this to like 0.5, 0.6, that's going to mess up your stretchy, right? So if you can see the difference between 0.6 stretchy and 1 stretchy, it's only going to stretch partly and you're still going to have the leg pulling off the ground. So what I suggest is from the very beginning, turn stretchy to 1 and leave it on the whole time. And that's going to allow you to do this and be able to stretch the legs as far as you need. And you're not going to have a problem with your walk cycle. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, I can go in a little further, but I think that should be able to answer what you needed to know. Hopefully.
Let us know if it doesn't help.
And then with that, what do we want to do next? I guess I can switch over. I can switch over to my other Maya, as long as there's no more questions from Nikki. I'll just minimize it for now. So I actually wanted to show something really quick and really cool for anybody that's here. In your Maya file, let me try to download that super quick. Boop, boop. I have that. So I'm going to switch over to 2-person talking so I can open up my files and download it. And then, yes, I can show that super quickly.
For sure. And also, you're good. Not too many demands. That's what we're here for. We would say no if we didn't want to.
We're here to help.
We're here to help.
Open, don't save, browse. I also am a terrible animator and keep things in my downloads.
Every time I get a shot from you that I have to work on, it says, file not found. Would you like to look in Daniel Stewart download? Oh, my
Yes.
guitars, yeah. I have a stage in my place. My guitars, I don't play enough anymore. It's really sad. It's hard to find time. It takes a lot of time to practice and keep up practice.
Yep.
I majored in college for music and I don't play music anymore. I just animate my days away.
Yep. But to show you, Nikki, how I would do it in your scene is go to the graph editor, select both feet. So I have both feet selected, and I'm just going to select stretch, and then I'm going to hold down control and select stretch. So I have both stretches selected in the graph editor for both feet. I'm going to select both of these, and I'm just going to say 1. And now I have stretchy turned on, and we have some weirdness going on, and I believe it's because there is some scaling on. Or is this just a terrible rig?
Wait, can you pull it out and see the foot? Can you take out the foot roll?
No, that's what it is. It's the foot roll. What about this? So if you do this. Why? So this is an issue that happens with rigs. It should be fixed if you know how to do rigging, but no, the problem is that so your joints are set to a certain value, right? And they're set to break, to bend the knee at a certain value. But when you do something like heel ball, like this changes that world space value. But if you don't know how to program it, stretchy leg does not know to straighten the leg before stretching. So it just stretches from here, right? So Animation Addict, if I were you, again, this is just a issue with the rig. This isn't an issue with your animation skills. If I were you, there is a free rig. Let me switch back to the 2-person view. Let me open this up. Okay, this is the rig that I would suggest, which I thought the one you were using was fine until I saw that, and now I'm like, okay, you should probably change. Here we go. The Stewart rig. Now, obviously, if our rig was released, I would say to use that one because that one is a very nice rig. But this rig, this is a very solid, very simple, very nice to use rig, Stewart rig. And it's free. So I'm going to post this rig in the chat. Here you go. Free Animaya rig. So you can get both the squirrel and the Stewart rig for free. You just have to put in your email. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to do exactly what you couldn't do with this rig. And to show that, I'm just going to quickly open up the Stewart rig just so I can show you what I mean by how it should work. Rigs, characters, classic, tribes, Stewart. Okay, so here we go. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Animation Addict, because that's going to make animating a walk cycle 200 times harder.
Yeah, not fun.
So what you
Almost
should be
impossible.
able to do is stretchy should be on by default on this rig. Auto squash and stretch is on to 1. So if you can watch this, if I do my foot roll, so you see how the foot roll goes up to here, instead of stretching before becoming straight, it straightens out and then stretches, right? So this is how a rig should work. And without doing this, it'll be almost impossible. So If I were you, Nikki, I would keep the shot that you have, and then I would reference in the Stewart rig into your walk cycle and just copy your poses, right? So if you have your shot where you're in the high pose, just make Stewart match, because they both have the same body size relatively, I believe. So let me just reference in really quickly.
That way you're not losing your poses and having to repose from like scratch. You already have it there. You can pretty much just like trace your poses that you already have with the new rig.
Let me make sure the scale of these two rigs is relatively the same. Oh, tiny, 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 tiny.
Tiny, tiny, tiny.
Okay, so what you would do is you would just take the scale and you would scale your rig up to 20. So now they're basically the same size. And so let's say that this is your let's say that this is your up pose. I would just go in with Stewart and I would just go like, okay, let's just match this pose. So I would go here and then I would go here. And I need to grab his PVs, pull them out this way.
Yep.
And I would just match your poses roughly. So that would be my suggestion, Nikki, because it's going to be absolutely massive being able to go from this rig to this rig is going to make your animation way, 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 way better. And yes, Alan, for a 7-year-old rig, it's still great.
Stewart is very solid.
And I mean, just showing the difference between, where is it? Heel ball. The difference between this and this, and not having, I mean, look at this one. Wait, I need to turn on stretchy leg for this to happen. You see how Stewart's leg straightens, then stretches? The other one just stretches. And we actually had this issue with our rig in early stages of rigging. We had it rigged up and it was just the body, and we actually did a walk cycle. And I was like, why is this walk cycle looking so bad? Why is it not working? And I realized that it was the scaling issue, that whenever I was trying to straighten the leg with stretchy leg, that it was scaling the leg being bent. And I went to the rigger and I was like, hey, this is an issue. Can we get this fixed? And he was like, oh, yes, this is actually a bug in my auto rigger that whenever I make these rigs that they don't fix. And so he went in and he fixed it, and we haven't had a problem with it since, and it's been amazing. So yeah, my suggestion would be switch to the Stewart rig. And also give me 1 second. I need to go shut my door. So I will switch back to this. Madison, keep the people occupied. I'll be back.
Okay, I will entertain. But yeah, so the Stewart rig is really nice just to be able to use and not have to worry about super big issues, because it has been vetted by a lot of different animators for, like A to the J said, 7 years. So not many issues. Works out well. And what's nice is you won't completely lose any blocking that you've done so far. You can just, like Dan showed, reference in Stewart rig, kind of copy your poses, and you should be good to go. So you're not losing work, but you're also not setting yourself up with this old rig to have to fight with it a lot once you start getting into splining and adding more information in. Welcome back, Dan.
That is a overall rule that I will tell any animator, no matter what your experience is, no matter how good you are. If you're choosing a rig to animate that you're going to have to fight, you're setting yourself up to have pain and trouble and time.
And with our new rig coming out, you won't have to deal with it.
I mean,
I see what you do.
That is true.
Set up a promo.
That is true. Very, very true. But at the same time, You can be, yes, you can, Joe. I will show you in 2 minutes after I get done with my rant.
Rant,
But
rant.
you can be the best animator out there. You can be the fastest animator out there. But no matter how good you are, matter how fast you are, if you're using a rig that's hard to deal with, it's always going to take you longer and be more pain than if you were
Mm-hmm.
using a better rig.
Yep.
That's why no matter how nice a certain rig is, if it's bad, I'm going to grab a good rig and mod it to get what I need. So like the Apollo rig, the Artemis rig, the Mulan rig, our new rig, those are the only rigs I will ever use to animate. Because all the
Yeah.
other ones just do not hit the quality bar that I need. And yes, I could go in, I could do blend shapes, I could sculpt, I could manually rig things up myself, but it's always going to take me more time.
You intentionally used it.
Exactly, Nikki. You were just
Perfect.
you were just setting us up for my rant
Yes.
to make my
Perfect.
rant have weight to it. But yeah, so being choosy with your rigs is very, very important, because if you can take good rigs and it will make it easier for you to animate, you're always going to animate faster and better, and your quality of shot and quality of mentality is going to be better. So find the best rigs you can and use those, and use them as many times as you need, because you're never going to be penalized for using the same rig in your reel.
Nope.
But you will be penalized for having less quality animation, because recruiters, studios, they're not gonna know typically how good a rig is. So if there's stuff that's not in your shot because the rig was terrible, they're not gonna look and say, "Oh, the stretchy leg must have been messed up with that rig." No, they're gonna say, "Oh, they don't know how to animate this." Or that blend shape is terrible. They're gonna be like, "Oh, that mouth shape isn't great." So use the best rigs that you can, and it's always going to set you up for success.
Which is kind of like why we started to make rigs, because we were so sick of not being able to have what we wanted for different rigs, because like, oh, we had 3 rigs that we cycled through that we were like, when we got to this point, we were like, these are the rigs that we like, being professional animators in the industry. And then, okay, we only have 3 rigs to choose from, and only one's a guy. So it's like, okay, why don't we start making our own rigs? And like, weirdly enough, there wasn't a good just base boy rig to work with. So that's why our new rig is happening in a thing, because we were so sick of having to sacrifice shot ideas just because we couldn't mod one of the good rigs that we refused to use anything else into the new one. Yes, the base boy, the base boy with no name.
Yes. And with that, as Pratham said, here's the best rig
Drum
of
roll.
all time. Let me open up.
Thank you, everyone, for just setting us up to like market this rig.
You guys are just marketing this rig for us.
Base boy. Yes, that's exactly it.
So the rig does have a name. I'm sure some of you have heard me slip it, but we are trying to keep the name. Yeah. We're trying to keep the name as secret as we can until
we want to be dramatic. We want to be drama queens. We want cool. Some spice.
we came up with this really cool name. We came up with this really cool idea of how we're going to release the name. So we're trying to keep it as secret as possible until we have the big name reveal. And once we have the big name reveal, we'll be able to tell everybody his name. But here is...
Oh, I'm blocking Pratham. News update.
So this, yes, I knew Pratham would know because he was on my streams. And here's me slip every time. Here is our rig, the finest, best, and most appealing rig,
the bestest boy
on the market. So just to give a little breakdown, he's got nice, very fleshy, very easy to pose mouth. He's got, scalable mouth. Scale it up, scale it down.
Everything on this rig is translatable, rotatable, and scalable. That was very important to all of us. Like, we just get angry when we can't like translate or rotate a specific control. So everything is movable, very flexible.
Yep. So you can get
Peter Parker. I get that. He would be he kind of looks like a Tom Holland reject. Like, we could go with that.
Yeah. So he's got a very robust body rig. He has
Yeah.
a ton of foot controls. We've got foot roll, we've got side roll, we've got heel pivot, we've got toe pivot, toes pivot. Yes, the TZ is way more accessible
Yep.
because that annoyed all of us having to select a
Yeah.
channel and middle mouse drag. Being able to select it is very nice.
Yep.
He's got
Just
a
put it where you want it.
very, very nice flexible cog. We've got
He's
FK
also
spine.
fast.
Very
He's a
fast.
fast boy.
This rig, if I hit the play button, it maxes out at 24 frames per second. But if I have a shot that goes all the way to the top, thank you, Vero. Yes, this is going to be
Yes.
the finest rig
Justice.
on the planet.
Work of a critic isn't easy.
This rig runs at 40 frames per second in my shot. 40 frames per second. He has a very nice IK spine, squash and stretch.
Squishy boy.
I personally am very proud of these shoulders because I single-handedly gave a ton of notes on these shoulders to make them work very, very, very nice. So
I think we worked for 2.5 weeks just on the shoulders, like giving notes back and forth. So
the
we
shoulders
get really annoyed when the pivots are not in the correct spot because it's just frustrating. So
shoulders work very nice. He has a very, very snazzy master cup control. He's got very nice, very appealing fingers. Very nice fingers.
yep.
Yes.
Shoulders usually are. That's
exactly. So it's something that I'm glad you mentioned, Joe, is that clavicles and shoulders, the biggest thing that bothers me, especially if you've ever used the Apollo rig, when you rotate the shoulders up, the meat of your back does not raise with it. And that was actually an issue we had with this rig.
trapezius muscle.
Yeah, rotating the shoulders up, the meat did not come up with it. And so I manually sculpted poses for our rigger so that he could blend shape that onto the rig, and it made all the difference in the world. So
because you can even see it from the front. Like if he doesn't have, you have a mod where he has like a different shirt, like a more open collar, or like if the shirt's off for a shot, you can see that because there's like this muscle that comes up right here. So we actually sculpted that into the rig. So when it comes up, you see it, and that way you don't get that weird. I won't name the rig, but she's a very a girl that we all know and love and have used in AM. But like she doesn't have that, and you have to kind of like translate the shoulders to get that feeling of like real hunch. So we wanted to build that into the base of this. That way you didn't limit the things that you have to do to get the pose that you want is basically our goal for this rig.
And just to pat myself on the back, this is what those shoulders originally were. So if you can see this GIF, this is what the shoulders used to do when they were first rigged. And I wasn't a big fan because the back of the shoulders did not come up. And so I manually went in and did this myself. I went in and I sculpted the shoulders up, and I just sent this to this is how I went and gave notes to our rigger, is I would go in and I would rig it up myself or sculpt it or whatever myself. And I'd be like, okay, this is an issue. Can we fix that? And so I feel like this is my favorite part of the entire rig because it was kind of like my baby. And I feel like it made the rig so much better. But we've gone through so many passes of notes for this rig to make sure that this rig was ready to be released. This rig is going to be very, very, very well tested by the time it's released. So that's just a fun little thing that we've done. So I'm really happy with the way the shoulders are working. We do have IKFK snapping. So you can IKFK switch, but we're also going to have snapping in the picker. This was another personal request of mine, was neck tension controls.
Yep.
This is a very small thing that
we stand these controls. They're so nice.
It's such a small thing, but being able to tense your neck, especially when you get angry, like it makes such a big difference. So Vero, I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, but since it's my thing, I'm gonna say it. The rig will be released. The rig will be released for pre-orders December 20th
where?
On Gumroad. Yes. It will be released on Gumroad, and it will be released for pre-orders December 20th. And then for actual real release, it's going to be January 3rd. And the
I need
reason
to get working on my shot. That just instilled the fear of God in me. I was like, oh no, it's the end of November. Okay.
our reasoning for releasing on January 3rd is because we know most animation schools start the 1st of
Yeah.
January, and we wanted anybody who's going into an acting class to have the ability to animate this rig for their school,
Yeah.
whatever. So January 3rd is the date. The reason we're doing pre-orders is because one, I wanted to be able to have a discounted price for people to buy early. We wanted to
Friends and family discount.
we wanted to what is it called?
Or nosy
Reward.
stalkers, one or the other.
We wanted to reward people for buying the rig early because obviously our goal isn't to make money from this rig, but we do want to make enough back to make the next rig. We already have many designs in the works of rigs we want to make after this that are this quality and better, right? We are going to remove something that very much annoys us, which is a paywall or a school wall. I'm very sick of, oh, you have to come to our school and pay 15 grand to have a rig that will get you to a feature studio. Or you have to pay $50, $60, $70 to get a rig that will get you to a feature studio. So our goal is to make such good rigs and so many good rigs that no schools can even bother making rigs behind a school wall because they won't be as good as ours. Dog rig is in the works. We have female rigs, male rigs, different races, all these rigs in the works. So our goal is to make enough money to fund the next rig. And then
we don't want to make just round-headed girl rigs because I feel like that's all it's on the market, and even then it's not that great. Like that's the classic like Disney, Anna or Elsa look. Like everyone has those rigs, so like that's there, and that's oversaturated. So like let's start making like we started with this base rig because we wanted to start with something that like this can be used. This is a needed thing. There isn't really any good guy rigs out there that can be modded into whatever you want. So then we're like, okay, we start with this and then let's start doing different races, different body types. I would love like a bigger person to animate because they don't have that. I think Anim School has one, but again, locked behind a school that you have to pay 15 grand to attend. So that was kind of our goal. It's like sneak in with this base one and then we're going to like explode from there, hopefully.
And the reason for this base one is because I've always had teenager audios that I wanted to animate that I had no rig to animate. I was like, you have little kid rigs, you have grown-up rigs, you do not have teenagers, and teenagers are such an integral part of TV shows, movies, audio clips. You can have so much more flexibility with a good teenage rig that I was like, I really want to animate this teenage rig. So that's why we came up with this one first. So anyway, that was a side tangent, and I'll answer your question as well, Joe, because I do have an answer.
Yep, exactly. Vero, same thing. Like we hate that locking of like, rigs. So.
And so the reason we're opening this for pre-orders, which I want to be very open about it, because again, if I'm releasing the rig, why am I not giving it to you guys yet? Why am I waiting 2 weeks? The reason is because one, I want to reward people for buying the rig early because I want to make enough to make the next rig. That's one reason. So we're going to do, I believe, $25 is our pre-order rate. So if you pre-order this rig, you're going to get it for $25. Our actual rate is going to be $35. And so
because rigs are expensive to make, like extremely expensive.
Very expensive to make, and we are also releasing more content in this rig than any other rig has ever had. So the reason we're doing a pre-order is because a very bad issue in the animation community is giving rigs to people for free. Somebody will buy a rig, they'll upload it to a Google Drive, and they'll send it to all their friends. And then they'll take it and they'll send it to their friends and their friends and their friends. And before you know it, 200,000 people have your rig, but only 200 people have paid for it. And that's a very, very bad issue and very devastating issue for someone who's invested 50% of my income for the past 2 months. Personal, like this was all personally funded by me, and I paid people above industry wages to make this done right because I want to pay the people that work for me very, very well. And I as an animator, as a artist, I don't want to be underpaid for projects, so I'm not going to underpay other people. But for somebody who's invested their savings into this, I want to make sure as many people are buying this rig as possible that are not obtaining it illegally. And so
Yeah.
if I can sell it for a discounted price and get as many people to buy it before I actually give it to them, I may be possibly eliminating some people who would wait till it was released and mooch it off one of their friends. They may be like, oh, I'm going to get this for a 10%, 20%, 30% discount. I'm going to buy this now before the price goes up, right?
Yeah.
So then I get the biggest majority of people buying my rig before I actually give them the files, which will then eliminate them from giving it to other friends until later. So that's the reason for the pre-orders. Um,
We're
let's
pushing
see.
back the crime for now, you know? We're just trying to like delay that as long as possible. We know it's inevitable, but
So to answer your question about Blender, Blender is our next goal.
crime, delay crime.
Exactly. Blender is our next goal. I've been looking around low key for a Blender artist to rig this
Hard to
model.
find.
But yes, Blender artists are hard to find, and one that would match my quality standards
Yeah,
would
they're
also
all
be,
at studios
yeah.
that do
So
Blender.
if you know somebody or if you're in contact with a Blender rigger who can do
Please
feature
share.
quality rigging, because again, I don't want this just to be another Blender rig. If it's going to be rigged in Blender, it's going to be the best Blender rig. And it's going to be just as good as this one is in Maya.
And we are
So,
all going to learn Blender to test it out because we are
yeah.
very specific about how we want stuff. So
And with how busy we are right now, and with how much that would cost, because whoever that person's going to be is going to be expensive. And I'm going to want to pay them full price. I'm going to wait till this rig ships. And once it's shipped, and if it makes a profit, I'm going to very much increase my efforts towards finding a Blender rigger. Because my goal is I'm going to create character design, create model, and then I'm immediately going to pass that model off to my Maya rigger and my Blender rigger. And I'm going to have them both rigging at the same time. And they're both going to be released at the same time for Blender and Maya. That's the future plan. Because I want to be able to give Blender artists and Maya artists the same. Right now, financially, feasibly, that's not going to be. I actually have started the first test shot, and
yep,
that's what I'm going to go to here in a second. But I wanted to
Dan's
show
doing
off.
it.
I wanted to show off T-pose boy before I show animated boy. But
Yep. Then I'm doing the second one. So Dan's doing one that's going to release with the pre-orders, and I'm going to do the one that's like releasing with the rig. So
yeah,
because
so,
I decided to bite off more than I can chew. So, but it'll be a good shot, hopefully. And then I'm currently doing a pose page for Leo that everyone will get with Leo that are on model, very nicely blended, very clean done because I'm very anal about it. Poses that people can plug in for Leo and kind of learn like what looks best on him. So hopefully, and they will be very clean. We'll be doing mouth shapes, phonemes. I'll show some maybe tonight after Dan works a little bit on his shot. Mouth phonemes. We're doing expressions, even a few like standing and sitting poses. I think Taylor Gessler's doing, who's on our team. I'll be doing mouth expressions and then eye mask expressions. That way you can plug and play, kind of like both eye and mouth expressions. That way it's not all one. So yeah, really nice solid hands, which are amazing for blocking and stuff quick, being able to have really nice detailed hand poses that aren't just master fist control.
yep.
So yeah, we're gonna add all that into, and that will all be included with the rig. So a lot of love is going into this rig and work
Yep.
and time. So
And another benefit, which is very new development, that was an issue I had as an animator, but I never really thought about it. But I've been working with a lighting artist, very, very talented lighting artist. She will be in
she's
feature very,
amazing.
very soon. But
Yep.
um, one thing that I had an issue very early on, very late on, was if I want to render my shot, how do I do that? And
Yep.
unless, which I had to, I spent hours and hours and hours figuring out, okay, how to get an AI standard surface shader on my rig, how to attach the right textures to that AI standard surface shader, all of those things. The lighting artist I've been working for, she made a render ready rig. And not only did she make a render ready rig, she found a way to make our rig both viewport and render ready. So when we release this
Amazing.
rig, he's going to look like this in the viewport. But when you click that light, when you add lights to your scene and you click the render button, it immediately switches to your render shaders. You don't have to touch a button. You don't have to do a single thing. You're just going to have viewport shaders. It's going to look good in the viewport. You're going to add lights. You're going to click render. And all the render shaders are going to immediately, instantly kick into gear, and you're going to have perfectly rendered rig. So that's another really, really exciting update. And to just give a small spoiler sneak peek thingy.
Sneak peek. Thank you, Vera. We appreciate it. We've all put a lot of love into this, and the core group of us are just all working together, and like we're paying our other artists, obviously, but like we're invested in being able. Oh, yep, there's a render.
This is how it's going to look fully rendered.
Yep.
And I am very proud of the way he looks, because our lighting artist, she put a lot of work into the surfacing. Really, really nice surfacing. Now,
his little lips, they're so good. I just like at fangirl every time. I'm like, oh, it's so good. I love it.
This looks a little better than probably your average animator is going to get, because this is using an ACES workflow, which has a way broader color spectrum than your average just rendering. But this is relatively what you're going to get when you render your shot with decent lighting. But so we're going to have when you buy the rig, you're going to have a proxy rig. You're going to have a normal rig that has both viewport and render shaders. And then we're going to have a ACES render specific rig, which has the ACES workflow already connected to the rig, so that if you're familiar with using ACES, you can render it and get something this amazing just with plugging it in. So that's just a little cool thing. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that's amazing?
The breathing controls, please.
Oh, breathing controls. That was another thing I specifically asked from the rigger, is that we have a belly breathing control and
they can look like he ate too much dinner.
So again,
yeah, the eyebrows, we were really specific about how we wanted the eyebrows, and they're simple too, like, because we also hated as animators when you have 50 controls for each brow. We're like, none of that. So yeah, we have a lot of control. Yes, he ate too much. College student Leo, staying up late, eating too much ramen.
We also very specifically wanted some really nice eyebrow deformations.
And this is without smooth mesh on too.
Yeah, this is without smooth mesh. But being able to add this control of when they come in to pull this out was very, very important to us. And we have very, very simple but nice furrow, raise. Like, you can do so much with these brows so quickly.
Super flexible.
And what I found with this rig is that so many rigs that are good are really close to what this rig was when it was first rigged. But the reason why this rig is so much better than any other rig, and I'm just going to pat myself on the back and say it, this rig is so much better than any other rig, because just little quality of life things that a team of 6 animators animating this rig is going to see and fix makes all the difference in the world. Just a small difference of this control here. When this was rigged, the axis was like this, just a normal world axis. But whenever you tried to push it, it would collapse in on itself and create a clipping plane issue.
So you had to bring it out each time.
So you had to bring it out. Yeah. And that's just a small thing, not a huge. It's not going to make your shot great or terrible, but
it's just going to be annoying.
30, 40, 50 of those little things are going to make the difference between a good rig to animate or a bad rig to animate.
And sometimes people don't even know. It's stuff like that like you don't think about, but it just, the rig annoys you when you have to animate it because there's a 50 of those little things. So that's why we all went through this rig and just tore it apart. Our poor rigger every time we did, but he did so good, like matching our nitpicky little notes, because it just, like Dan said, like quality of life stuff that we just got annoyed. And it won't make or break a rig, but altogether it makes a good rig versus a great rig. So
and we have a Apple control, which is amazing.
Not exactly, that's our tagline. Made by animators for animators.
Yes. Okay, so now that I've gotten done gushing about this rig, I'm going to show what I've done with it.
He's actually kind of okay. I don't know.
I modeled and textured this tuxedo myself, which is pretty cool. Again, I need a fix because he has also He has a very cool clothing on and off control, which shrinks his body, stretches his body, and I forgot to do that before, so he's on the wide body mesh. But anyway, don't think about that. Don't look at it.
Don't look at it. It's fine.
But let me turn on my audio, and let me see if I can get my audio to play for you guys by doing this. Okay, let me know if you guys can hear this. Oh, there we go. Now, let me know if you guys can hear this.
I'd never seen anything so perfect. Then you whispered that you loved me. But I guess if I love you, I should let you move on. I'd never seen anything so perfect.
Poor baby.
Then you whispered that you loved me. But I guess if I love you, I should let you move on. I'd never seen it.
So obviously this is super rough. I've only been working on this here and there in my spare time after 8-hour work days, 10-hour work days. So I think I have around 5 hours in it overall. We decided to switch that idea, pray from, which is a talking point in and of itself of I had one idea, I thought it was good, but it wasn't clear. So I talked to a friend of mine and she was like, what if he's about to take a girl out to prom and he's about to knock on the door and he's like got a bouquet of flowers and he's like talking through his mentality and decides not to ask her out because he thinks she needs to move on, whatever. So I'm still going to add the flowers and I haven't been able to find them, but that's kind of the
Bouquets
idea.
of flowers are hard to find.
They are
Like a
very
good
hard to
asset.
find.
I don't know why, but I remember searching for one for my class 4 shot from AM. It took me like a week and I found a pretty bad one.
Yeah.
So
But the thing I'm most happy about animating this test has by far and away been how easy his mouth is to pose.
yeah.
Like I was just able to get these really nice, appealing, thin lip mouth shapes like this. So nice, so easy to pose. And these took me like 5 minutes to pose out because his lips are so appealing off the bat. Like, obviously very rough. Worst hand pose in the history of man.
Beautiful.
Very spliny faces, but he has very, very, very appealing, nice mouth shapes. And it's so easy to pose. And to be honest, the main thing is having this translate Z control that's not only in the channel box. Like being able to grab it and actually pose it out makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, what's nice like on him, Vera, is like I've literally been able to get shapes on him from a profile view, or even like a very pushed 3/4, bringing his mouth open and doing like a big wide smile, and I've been able to yeet the control like way back into his head, and it looks like this really graphic 2D mouth shape, and like for free too. Like I didn't have to sit there and manually sculpt a bunch of macro and micro controls to get it. So that's what's really fun about posing them, is because you're not consumed in timing with like sculpting main parts of like the face, but instead you get 90% of what you want with one control, which is really cool to be able to have, and something that we see on production rigs but not on student rigs ever. So it's really nice to be able to have that.
And this is something that, again, this is a informational bit and also a little pat myself on the back again.
Gonna get bruised.
Most of the rigs you're going to find have limits. So I'm sure as animators, you've all seen it where you go to move it this far and it locks. That was something I specifically asked our rigger not to do because yes, his blend shape only goes this far and past this, it starts to break, right? But as an animator, I know that if I want to get a really pushed mouth expression, I can work with this and I can move other controls to get this, and then I can go and paint on a blend shape after that, right? I can make this super, super pushed expression. And even though the blend shape breaks, I can take this and I can sculpt some sort of a, blend shape on top of it, whatever. It also makes ease of animating is I want to be able to max out my controls abilities without hitting a wall.
Yeah.
But if you go into, oops, I did not mean to do that. If you select a control on any rig that has that, you can go into limit information and you'll find all of these checkboxes checked. And this is what a normal rig acts like, where it locks. So like if I want to go past this, I can't. And as an animator, I absolutely hate that. I hate
Don't control
locking
us.
here because if I want to go past this, or if I want to make my animation smooth and get these nice arcs, maybe I want to go 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.25. And as you can see with these off, I can go to 1.5, I can go to 1.8, and it still look amazing. And putting limits just keeps me from getting those smooth arcs because I can never go to the max. So I either have to animate everything down here. Yes, Pharaoh, that is exactly what happened.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm pretty sure I remember the day that happened. Dan messaged me like, I'm sick of this. He was trying to find a rig for a shot. I forget what it was. But then he was like, I'm making a rig. I'm like, okay, funny story. Have fun with that. And he was like,
So-
no, I'm making one. And then the business license came the next week. So there we are.
So if you're ever sick of having this, any rig you have, select the control, go to your emotion control, whatever. It should be a control in the attribute editor, and just uncheck these tick boxes. And that will give you the ability to move these controls as far or as short as you want. And yes, it'll break the blend shapes, but it'll make animating 200 times easier. So that's just a little tip for anybody who wants that. But yeah, so basically a year and a half, 2 years ago,
And got angry.
I don't see you, Pratham.
Bye.
I can't remember when it was, what I was doing, but I believe I was working on Kana. And I loved working on Kana. But I was trying to animate a shot after work and I couldn't find a rig that I wanted to use. And so I was just like, I want to build a rig. So I started talking and bouncing things off of people. Oh, thank you, Joe. You should check out we had a Q&A on Saturday with the animation director for Kana, Hunter, good friend of mine. It was a great Q&A. But
That was awesome.
I started talking with Taylor, who was our concept artist. I was talking with Madison. I was talking with Robert, Cynthia. And I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of the garbage of you either have a free rig that comes out, which is great for a free rig because it's free. It's somebody literally donating their time for animators to have. But most of the time, it's either a modeler who can rig or a rigger who can model. But either the concept isn't great or the rigging isn't great or it's not animator friendly. And I was like, I'm going to pay the best artists out there to do their thing. And so I got Taylor, who's an amazing, she's at Disney, and she's also an amazing concept artist. She did the concept. I paid a very talented modeler to model him out. He's a full-time modeler, really, really good. And then I paid one of the best riggers out there to rig him. And I also personally bought a ton of tutorials to teach myself rigging so that whenever our rigger would rig stuff, I could give him notes that were competent because I didn't want to be like, hey, this thing doesn't work, fix it somehow, because I know how that is for a non-animator to give an animator notes and be like, hey, this thing, and just kind of give something broad and you have no idea what they want. I wanted to be able to give very specific notes and how to give those notes. And that's why I feel like this rig was very streamlined in its process, is being able to talk to a rigger in rigging terms and tell him exactly what I wanted, whether it be a brilliant shape or whether I wanted a rigging change, whatever, I was able to tell him that. So it's been a fun process, and if it goes well and we make our money back, there will be another one in probably another 6 months from now.
Buy the rig plus.
Buy the rig.
Please. If you want more, buy the rig.
Yeah. But for also anybody who's lighting, we're working with our lighting artists to make this rig geared as well towards lighting artists to be able to buy this rig and do lighting tests for school for their portfolio. So it's going to be for animators and lighters as well. Just a little fun side note.
I just realized I'm making really dumb faces into the camera. I'm sorry. I'm posing out phonems. I just looked over. I was like going on the stream. So
Well, that's a
Oops.
perfect segue into Madison showing off what she's working on.
Hi, you can see the things I'm doing. Okay, I'm doing a thing. So I'm working on phonemes. So I do it all for our pose page. If you want to get a sneak peek of our pose page, this is what we have so far for Leo. These are rough. These were just cameras I was trying to get for both of them. But yeah, you can kind of see like what we're getting. It's a nice squash and stretch. These still need to be refined. I got notes on these. I want to redo them. But yeah, here's what I have so far. We got A, we got I, we got E, F, V, MVP, U, O, default. And right now I'm working on an R. So you can see a really fun we. But trying to get as appealing shapes as possible, and also I use Studio Library a lot for work alongside for personal shots. So I know how frustrating it is when you get a pose library from a rig, because a lot of poses, a lot of rigs will come with usually not in depth, but a pose library. But I work a lot of times with blending poses on. So, if you don't know what that is, like you have this R pose and maybe I want to like blend into an O pose. So you can middle mouse drag on a pose and kind of blend on top of it, right? So a lot of times what I do for shots is that I think something actually Dan taught me that he does, I think he learned at work, is having a squash and a stretch pose that blends nicely. So sometimes they don't. I've seen people do squash and stretch poses with a rig, and it just like you try to blend it on top of whatever expression you have, like that you posed out, and it just like distorts into this absolute atrocity. But it's actually kind of fun to watch because we love some Maya glitching. But you can go in here and I can say, like, okay, I want, let's say this pose, right? Let's say I posed this beautiful thing out, and I'm like, okay, I want to blend on some stretch, right? So see how everything kind of starts blending together. Yeah, if you negative blend, you get some interesting shapes. But yeah, like being able to blend it on. Hello. There we go. But yeah, being able to blend on squash and stretch with your poses really helps get like a nice organic feel. A lot of times I'll put that like on a layer, like blend on some squash, right? Making sure that they blend nicely together. So that's something nice that we're trying to do with this rig, is have a nice pose library of stuff that shapes too, that extensively work and have been vetted by all of us. Like every time we're doing pose, like I'm doing the phonemes and like Taylor is doing some amazing expressions, and we go back and forth and give each other notes. So there's multiple eyes of people at feature animation studios looking at this stuff, looking at their pose pages, knowing what the big studios are using in terms of like what shapes look the best on characters and most appealing, and we're trying to do that. I'm trying to do that a little bit, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so right now I'm working with phonemes. So I do this all in one file, and I'm trying to think, Dan, what do you think of this R? Speaking of, give me crit live on stream.
Oh no, put me on the spot.
Yep. I feel like I need more bottom teeth up. R. I feel like there's too much.
I feel like bottom
space.
teeth should come up a little bit and the lips should come out. Because for me personally,
Okay.
yes, we are Vero. It's been stressful and fun.
There's moments of stress, moments of fun. Oh, there we go. Something like
yeah,
that.
pull the bottom lip down just a little bit and out
down
just
more?
a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
I find ours is either like or like it's either like almost an ooh lips or almost like a sneer S lips almost. But yeah, it's been a long process. I think we got first concept. When did we get first concept?
I honestly don't know. It's been a while.
March? I think it was around March.
March, maybe.
I think I first contacted Taylor and we started getting a inspiration board together on Pinterest of all the concept designs that we wanted to mold into this rig. So that was about April. March, we started first concept art. June, July, August was whenever we had our modeler making the model. Bunch of iterations on the model because our main thing was like Doesn't matter how good the rig is, if the model's not great, it's going to take a lot of work from an animator to make it an appealing rig. And that was a lot of the issue that we had with the Apollo rig. Is the Apollo rig is an amazing rig. It moves perfectly.
Yep.
The design choices, even though they're good, are very, very stylized.
They're very stylized, yeah.
Very small feet, very small head, very wide shoulders, very pronounced muscles. It's a style, and that style does not blend well with other rigs. So if you want the Apollo rig and the Mulan rig, it doesn't mix very well. And also there's some issues with the Apollo rig of shoulders moving. That's very, very hard. The very long necks, all of those things. We were like, we want a simple, anatomically correct rig that's appealing at default. We do not want an animator to have to make their own default to look good because the default that it comes in is ugly. And we want a character whose eyes look good enough that there's no sculpting. Aya's eyes give me nightmares that I have
You mean
to...
a rig that is famous that we don't say the name of has some suspicious eyes? Let's put it that way.
Eyes that
As
you
your
have
lawyer.
eyes that you have to sculpt at default and animate frame by frame almost through the entire shot. It's very painful. So for this rig, we were like, we want it to look good in default. So like right here, this is default with a little bit of
He's a pretty
opening on it,
boy.
and it looks great. So that was our goal. And it's been a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, a lot of 15-hour days. But I think it's going to pay off in the end. And just for anybody who doesn't know, our team is Taylor Gessler, who's a animator at Disney Animation Studios, really good friend of ours as well. Her boyfriend, who's also an animator at Maxis Studios, Robert Lanning. And then it's me, and I'm an animator at Luma, formerly Ember Lab on Cana. Madison, who is at Luma as well with me. And then Cynthia Musi, who is a lead animator at Axis Studios on a feature film, formerly Jellyfish. So we're all feature animators, very, very experienced with feature caliber characters. And then the modeler was Kartik Kanair, very, very talented modeler from Anim School's modeling class. And then Artem Dubina, who made the Thomas rig, Amanda rig, the Yulan rig, and has worked all over the place at a bunch of different feature studios. So we all have feature experience. We're all relatively experienced with this, and I think it shows with a cute boy that is the best rig on the market. Buy today for $19.99.
Pre-orders start December 3rd.
December
20th. I don't know my dates. Okay, there we go. We got a shot. Remembering that shot is not much different than
Also, if any of
An infomercial, please. Can we do like an 80s like infomercial?
that would be amazing.
That would be so great. Wait. That's a really good idea. That would be really funny. Like in your rig breakdown video.
We should do that.
We'll talk. Vero, how would you like to be on marketing?
Also, if you guys want to support us, give us a follow on Instagram.
Yep. And also, that's cool, Joe. You should
Oh, the
apply
Mel,
for
yeah.
Luma.
Half
Join
our team.
the Mel branch.
Yeah, half our team is in Melbourne. There are a lot of really cool, talented animators working on really cool projects. So yeah, Luma's been amazing. I've been working there for about 2 months now. So yeah,
I've been working there for 2 weeks. I love it so far.
So if you want to support us, drop a follow on the Wonderwell Instagram, and please like, share some posts on your stories, save them. All those things will help us get out there. So our goal right now, which is another reason why we're not releasing till later, is because we want people to see how good the rig is, and we want to be able to showcase what it can do. So all of our efforts are going towards promotions, making really, really high quality Instagram posts to share out into the void, into the world, and getting our Gumroad set up. we had some hiccups with Gumroad is totally redoing their site in 2 days. So we were building a really cool
Yeah.
Gumroad page that was going to look really nice and professional with custom CSS, and now they're removing custom CSS. So we're kind of waiting till we get Gumroad 2.0, and then we're going to try to build a really professional Gumroad page. We're also working with Jean Denis Haas. We're working with a bunch of other professional animators to give them the rig to get feedback from them on the rig and get breakdowns and just get as many eyes from leads, supervisors, senior animators out there to, you know, make it the best rig we can, and also take notes that we can address and apply them to the next rig. So that's kind of our efforts from now until release date, which is a lot. I have a list like 10 miles long of stuff that has to be done by the time.
It's a scary look into Daniel's brain.
Yeah.
I took a look once at the list of all the things he had to do, and I said, have fun with that. Nope. And I was like, that's too scary. I don't want to go back there.
Which is also why the streams lately are all becoming, hey, check out Leo, because it gives us an excuse to stream and also show off what we're doing and also get some work done.
Yeah, that's a little bit of both. Okay, I'm trying to think. Do I need any other photos? Let's think. I should probably send a first pass of these before I go anymore.
Yeah. Also, the pink background was my idea. I thought it was fun having a pink background instead of your gray.
Very slight pink.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we need any more? I F B M P P U O R S default. I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't know what I'm missing.
Let me see. We got SCH, R pose, U pose, OH, MBP, FVEH. I think we're good for our base. I know we have a list of like extra ones that we want to add if we.
Well, I can make frown and smiles of all of these, but I just want to get like neutrals in of all of them.
Yeah, and I think that's everything we wanted as a base, and then we can get.
I feel like R and Ch aren't different enough.
To be honest, R, S, H, CH, I do is the same. I actually don't even separate those. I just have an Ursh pose.
This is what I get for streaming. I was trying to make an S, not a sh. And I'm like, why do they look the same? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm a professional, y'all. I do this for work. People actually pay me money to do this. Isn't that amazing? Don't let Luma watch. Don't let them watch. I'll download them. Hey, I'm trying to multitask, okay? That's my excuse.
We love excuses.
Yeah, we do. Okay, edit, delete, move to trash. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do in my head. I'm gonna S. Yeah. RSH. Okay. So I'll put this one as R. Rename.
Yeah, glad you hopped in, Vero, and chatted and asked some questions, and hope to see you in future streams. And we can't wait to see what you animate with our rig. Maybe
we'll be in touch about the infomercial marketing strategy.
All right. Have a good one, Vero.
See ya. Bye, Vero. R H pose. There we go. I'm gonna name it as both. 2 for 1. Let's go. See ya. Okay. And we just gonna overwrite this with a default. Apply. A little bit. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. Beautiful. keep keep looking over thinking that you're screen sharing, but then I see this stream of me screen sharing myself, and I'm like, wow, he's doing some really ugly posing. And then I realize it's me. Oops. Hello, Char Taylor. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, Daniel, I'm dumb.
Oh, what's that?
What is an S pose?
For me, what I do is I take my EH pose
I was about to say,
and
just
close
EH,
the
but
jaw.
take...
Close the jaw. So I would just start with that base.
You know what? It's a good idea. You have good ideas. Okay, there we go. Oop! I forgot.
What?
You changed the things. The teeth.
Oh, do you not have the latest rig?
No, the teeth are bigger, so I have to change my poses.
Ah, we should do that.
Okay, let's take this out. There we go. I thought I did this. I must have not saved like a big dummy.
I mean, it's quite possible.
No, you're supposed to say no. There's no way you could do that, Madison.
Yeah.
Okay, this. Okay, maybe I just did like this. Literally just the corners. Okay, we good. We good. So now let's just close the jaw for an S. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, let's just. Okay, that's good. That's. Do. Dan, how are you liking posing this face out? Like getting into eye expression stuff? Is that what you're doing right now?
Yes.
Exciting.
Oh, also, I wanted to show a cool thing while Madison's posing real quick. Let me switch. Okay, so you see my background here. This is actually a real background for my scene, but I turned it into an image plane. And the reason is because, let me see, reference editor, houses, boom. Let me turn off image planes. So I had these houses in my scene. And I also created some polygons to create like sidewalks. And then I also did a mesh network of paint effects grass to make some like really cool foliage. But it took my frames per second from 40 to about 10. So I went from 24 frames per second to 10 frames per second. But I also wanted to be able to see what the background looked like so I could animate. I also wanted some depth of field so I could get some blur. So what I did was I put my scene in the background. I created a render layer just with the geo of the houses and the sidewalk and the grass. So I just added it to a render layer. I added a quick light and I just rendered it with Arnold. And I just rendered out an image. And the image looks like that. So that's what my image looked like. Not great. There's no shaders on it. I didn't really bother with it because I'm going to actually surface these and make them look really cool because I'm going to have this shot lit and rendered by Diana, our lighting artist. But this works for now. So I rendered out an image. I removed my houses. I deleted the grass. I deleted everything from the scene except for the character. And then I just went to this, import image. And I imported this image plane. Delete override. Let me turn off. Boop. There we go. And so instead of having an actual scene in my background, I built a scene so it looks good, took an image plane of it, imported it in, and now I have a perfect scene that does not slow down my scene at all because it's one image. And now I get 32, 35, 49 frames per second. So for anybody that wants a tip, yes, PNG actually. I rendered as a PNG. So for anybody who wants to have a really nice scene in their background, even if you have a moving camera, You could technically render out an image sequence of your background, remove your background, put that in on your, attach it to your camera, and you would have a perfect background with 0 polygons in your scene other than your rig. So that is a massive tip for anybody who has a slower computer. Render out 1 frame of your background, put it as an image plane, delete your background or just hide it. And that'll work for 90% of your play blasts unless you want something with shadows or something really high res. So just a quick tip for anybody who wants it. I think it should save you a lot of frames.
Okay, Dan, I'm going crazy.
What you doing?
I'm going dumb. I'm gonna start an eye mask.
Should I switch screens or should I just animate a little bit?
No, you don't have to. You can just animate. I just wanted to let you know that I'm about to go into dangerous territory.
It's gonna be cool. Also for the eye mask,
Yes.
it would be really nice if we could get a stretched furrow brow.
Like a stretched,
Like, yeah, like,
like scared almost, like.
yes. Because I'm finding that I'm having like furrowed brows that I want to be able to like stretch.
Stretch and squash. Okay.
But it's not working with the current stretch we have because it's going from here to like here. And it's kind of ruining
I see
the
what
base.
you mean.
So I want to be able to like stretch and squash that without losing the shape.
It's okay. Okay, so I need to make anger. Also, are you gonna make a blink cycle for him? Or am I?
I already did.
When? I didn't see it. Did you not share with the class? How dare?
Probably not. But here we go. This is the blink cycle. Oh, I can't make them any bigger. That's sad. But
Oh,
here
God,
it is.
Nice, okay.
So it's probably not perfect, but I just wanted a rough one so I could slap them on my shot.
Yeah, that's pretty good though.
Yeah. I mean,
You didn't use the blink control, right?
no, I didn't.
Okay.
I can't take credit for it. It's just Sean Sexton's 13 frame blink.
We love Sean Sexton and the 13 frame blink.
Yep.
Very important sticky note I did for a facial expression reference.
Amazing.
Very
Beautiful.
important.
Then you whispered that you loved me.
Inner brow and second inner brow controls. Can they translate forward? A to the J is wondering.
Inner brow, second inner brow controls. Can they translate forward? Let me see. They cannot. So that was actually something that we were considering adding.
Yeah.
So you can get, one thing we did really want to add, which we knew would be easy, is being able to furrow the brows this way and be able to push this out in Z would add us a little bit of mass that we wanted. We wanted to be able to translate those out a little bit, but it came to a point of where we were running short on time, we were running short on notes, and this was going to add a ton of extra blend shapes because, as you know, with eyebrows, you have blend shape up, blend shape down, and then for these, you also have up, down, and you have in, out, and then you also have rotate up and rotate down. So you already have a ton of blend shapes on these inner controls, and have to add an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like an extra 8 blend shapes just to be able to pull these out in Z. We were like,
Yeah.
for such a small detail, it probably wasn't worth for this short amount of time and not be able to nitpick it because we were running short on feedback time. So even if he had have added it, which would have taken a bit of time to give feedback on it and make sure it was done correctly the way we wanted, we were like, yeah, well, let's just put it on a CBB list, basically, because it would have been cool to have, but it wasn't going to be worth the time to really nitpick it to get it in there, if that makes sense.
There was a lot of things that we were like, oh, we could like add a control here, add like a functionality with this that wasn't essential, but just would have been nice, that we ended up not doing simply because of the fact that the more you add, the more blend shapes you're having to do, more skinning you're having to do, that's going to slow down your rig. And speed was really important to all of us. So we were like, what's the perfect balance we can find between speed and cool functionality of like things that we love to have? Like, we were like, okay, yeah, breathing's going to add several blend shapes, could technically slow the rig down, but we really want a good breathing control. So I was like, okay, let's do that and like sacrifice and like cut back on a few things. Because I remember like Dan, and when he first pitched the idea of a rig to all of us, and we finally got a rigger and we're like legit doing it. We were like, okay, let's make a master wish list. I think he still has somewhere like a big Google Doc. We all just like spammed ideas. We all met up and we're like, I want this, I want that, I want that.
That you loved me.
I would say a good 80% of everything on that list made it into this rig, but there's still some stuff
But
that
I
we
guess
just like sacrifice,
love
which we
you.
might try differently in the next rig. Like we don't know yet. We'll see what the
Yeah.
reviews are of this rig. And once we all start really getting into doing like complex shots, maybe there's some stuff we would wish to like, oh, it'd be really cool if we could figure out a way to get this and sacrifice something else or not. So that was kind of our whole goal with this rig. And lots of our meetings were basically, do we add this or not to sacrifice speed or not? How important is it? How frustrating is it going to be in the long run if we don't add this thing or do add this thing? So that's what this rig kind of was. It's like the balance of everything.
Yep, exactly.
Because there's some rigs out there that they have like insane functionality, like Artemis and Apollo, insane functionality. Like those rigs, like you can do lots of stuff, like very specific controls. You have wrinkle controls. I remember one thing on this rig I pitched that I really wanted was like like crow's feet. You know, even though Leo's a young teen, like still that's nice to show really squash, but I was like, okay, that's another control. That's another blend shape. That's more time. That's more money on rigging. It was like, is it necessary? No. Can we still get other cool things? Yes. Would I rather have neck tension? Yes. Like it was just constantly with this rig, like, what do we want? So I think we ended up with a really perfect like balance of stuff overall. But there's still, that is to say, there's still stuff in the future that we might decide to either omit for the next rig or add, or just depends. So
and we have a list, and I think one of the big ones for me of like what we want for the next rig is typically with a rig like this, you have a blend shape, right? That goes up to 1. And once it hits 1, that's where it hits its max blend shape. Something that's coming up in facial rigging a lot in very high quality newer rigs is you have blend shape 1 that goes here to here. And then anything past that goes away from blend shape 1 and goes into blend shape 2. And that's how you get these like really pushed expressions that have really tight like wrinkles that are really, really cool, like Apollo. Apollo has the blend shape 0 to blend shape 1, blend shape 1 to blend shape 2, which allows for super pushed facial expressions, which it's something I want to play around with in the future. I know it's going to add a ton of weight to our characters, which again is something that us and the rigger were very, very much in line with, was that in today's day and age with today's computers, real time is a must have. Like animating with characters that can't play real time are just,
I get so angry. I'm like, I hate this.
even
It's so
with work
frustrating.
rigs, like back in the day with slower computers, it was kind of expected that you weren't going to get real time and you had to play blast a lot. But play blasting is time, and time is money.
Time is money, kids.
Animating with a rig where I get 24 frames per second in the viewport is the difference between me animating a shot in a week or 3 weeks. It's literally a third of the time for me. And so for us, we were like, you know what, let's go for 24 frames a second first, and then let's add in after that. And our rigger did some really ingenious rigging things to take, I believe he added 20 frames a second. He went from 30 to 50.
I still don't understand how, but I just did it.
Just
like,
by combining blend shapes. So he took the rig, made it really, really nice, and then he optimized it by combining all the blend shapes and took it from, again, 30 FPS in the viewport to 50. And that just makes it so much more usable for everybody, no matter what kind of computer you have. So, again, as you can tell, we're all really excited about this rig.
he's okay.
I'd never seen anything so perfect.
Okay.
Then you whispered that you loved me.
Oh no, my pose page.
But I guess
Okay, nice.
But I guess.
I just want a small overshoot here.
But I
I
guess.
broke something, Daniel.
What'd you break?
Never mind. I fixed it.
Cool.
I'm my own worst enemy.
But I guess. If I love you.
Also, you want to know something that makes me infinitely happy for no good reason?
What?
I'm in my eye mask camera right now. I'm about to
But I
start doing
guess.
the eye mask, and I'm scrubbing through trying to find where
But I
my
guess.
mouth shapes in so I can start keying on my eye mask. And all I can see is his nose and the tops of his cheeks, and it looks so squishy and nice. Just like flipping through
guess
my photos, I'm like,
If I
yay,
love you.
it's being effective. A to the J has a question. He says, Dan, have you tried Josh Sobel's polished script on this rig?
Oh, anim polish? Let me try it out right now. I'm gonna save first.
Save
but
first. Smart.
Let's just try. What do I want to do with this rig?
Do something crazy. Do something stupid.
Well, let's just try going like this, going like this, and then let's just select this, anim polish, sculpt. Mesh tools, just take the grab tool. Soft select this a little bit. Add a little more volume. Scale these up a little bit. Pull this out.
I'm not including the eye direction. I just scaled up. I realized I haven't scaled up my the iris and pupil on him yet. It scales so nicely. But then I scaled it too big. I was like, oh, I want a baby Leo now.
maybe
Boss
that'll
baby
be
Leo.
maybe that'll be a mod to come in the future.
Boss baby Leo.
Oh, that'd be
Please?
amazing. Apply standard. Yeah, that is a cursed blend shape.
We love cursed blend shapes. Do it. Boss baby Leo.
Please apply.
Okay, pose.
And look at that. We have a perfect corrective blend shape. Obviously, this is a terrible pose, so don't judge my sculpting abilities, but it works.
It's beautiful.
I can delete CB cell, and it should go back to normal. Look at that. Amazing.
Okay.
And I may have just crashed Maya, but that's okay.
That's all right.
I'm going to try the soft mod, not soft mods, but sticky mods. I'm going to try sticky mods too, because those are very important. I love sticky mods a lot. Oh shoot, I forgot that he... No, did he?
What happened?
Dang it. He removed sticky mods from JS Anim Polish. I forgot. It makes me sad. I loved having it. He removed it as its own free tool, but I just haven't downloaded it yet. It shows how long it's been since I've used it. But I haven't used JS Anim Polish or sticky mods in a long time because I've been working games for so long. You can't sculpt or do anything because it all goes into game engine. But now that I'm back into feature, I'm loving the fact that I can sculpt and get soft mods or sticky mods or whatever on those. So I'm going to update JS Anim Polish, and I'm going to get sticky mods again because I love both of those infinitely.
Yeah.
Oh, also another thing I was going to mention about Leo is that we are planning to make mods and sell them as well for cheap, very cheap. I want to do, but this is going to be the first mod. Obviously, it's not applied great on my rig. I'm going to apply it properly, but this is a fully renderable. Also looks great in the viewport rig mod, and I'm planning to sell these for like $2 or $3 to go with Leo. So if you buy the rig, you should be able to buy the clothes as just a small add-on. So that way you have professional looking assets to go with your character. So just a small little thing.
I should let you move on. I had never seen anything so perfect. Then you whispered that you loved me. But I guess if I love you, I should let you move on. I had never seen anything so perfect. Then you whispered that you loved me.
Something that keeps bothering me about this pose here is this little intersection I'm getting here. I believe it's the lower lid is coming up slightly and it's just bothering me. So I'm gonna fix it. There we go, that should be fine.
Loved me. But I guess if I love you, I should let you move on. I had never seen it. I should let you.
I don't like how stiff the eyebrows feel here. As he goes from this expression to this one, I want to get a little bit more furrow in the brows. So I'm going to pop up my graph editor to see what my keys are doing. I work very pose to pose on the face right off the bat. And then as I get more refined, then I start offsetting things. But I can tell that this is my extreme. I have ease here and an ease here. So here's where I'm going to actually blend on. And you know what? I'm not a fan of what's happening to the eyes. So I'm going to pull up this eye control a bit. Now I'm going to blend on just a little bit to get the eyes more closed.
It's so fun to pose his eyes. I
His
haven't really
eyes.
posed him yet. Yeah.
His eyes be on fleek.
On fleek.
Okay, so we got that. Now I'm just gonna select the eyebrows because I want to squash the brows without the eyes. So I'm just gonna select these individually. Do that.
I wish you could do in Pose Library, and there's probably a way to do it, but I'm too dumb. I wish that there was a way that you could, like, say, always snapshot from this camera.
Yeah,
That way you don't have to click on it every time, like against Snowflake. That'd be really nice.
it would be.
If anyone knows a way.
Gonna
Oh, yeah.
ease both of these. There we go.
I should let you move on.
There we go.
I had
That's
never
working
seen
better.
anything so perfect.
Am I dumb? Yes, I am.
Then you whispered that you loved me. But I guess if I love you, I should let you move on. I had never seen anything so perfect.
The eyebrows are hitting a wall. Right here.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to take some slight TY and just soften that up a bit.
So perfect. Then you whispered that you loved me. But I guess if I love you, I should let you move on. I had never seen anything so perfect.
I'm going to do a quick fleshiness watch through, just so I can see how his wireframe is
I
moving.
had never seen anything so perfect. Then you whispered that you loved me. But I guess if I love you, I should let you move on.
So as you can see, the entire face mouth area is relatively dead, because I typically, once I have final lip sync, I go in and I copy paste curves to these controls, which is going to make a massive difference with his lip sync. I'm really excited to see how it looks with that. I'm relatively happy with how the eye mask is moving. I think it's moving relatively fleshy and working really nice. So I'm going to have to put a little bit of work in. The main issue I'm seeing with this shot is not enough arcing in the inner brows and not enough offsets. Everything's moving up and down at the same time. And the brows are not leading any of the actions. Everything's starting and ending the same. So I need to offset the brows, delay the lids sometimes a little bit. And then I need to move on and really refine this lip sync.
I had never seen.
And I need to select these controls. Select this and this. Make sure I have exactly what I need. I'm going to add this to a render layer and call it mouth anim super quickly, so I can just flip to this when I... Oops. What happened here?
Gift.
Add selected. There we go. So I can flip to that whenever I need to animate the tongue.
Oh, that was smart.
Yeah. I want to select these controls.
I had never. I had never seen. I had never. Never seen. Never seen.
I think I'm going to relatively push this TH mouth shape because it is fairly pushed. How anything relatively pushed. So I'm going to try to translate this in to go right up to the upper teeth.
sometimes he reminds me of
Hmm.
working on like his eyes. Reminds me of Walter from Spies in Disguise. I don't know what it is specifically, but his eyes remind me of it.
I can see that.
You can see that?
Walter from
I don't know.
Spies. I like
Yeah.
Walter from Spies.
I love Spies. It was a cute movie.
I'd never seen anything so perfect. I'd never seen anything.
Stretched, do you want the worried stretched pose, Dan? You stretched?
What?
And how stretched do you want the worried, like, stretched pose?
Pretty stretched.
Okay.
Like if you could like rotate the inner brows.
Or?
Not that much, but a little bit, and then like pull those inner ones,
Hold down.
pull them in a bit, yeah. Yeah, getting
Like
that
that.
real nice furrowed expression.
Yeah.
So perfect. It's so perfect.
Get that nice k for perfect. You get that upper back tongue. Rotate these down. Rotate these forward.
Perfect. So perfect. Perfect. So perfect.
I never thought to animate the tongue that way. It's really smart.
I'd never thought of it until just like 5 seconds ago.
I get so annoyed when I have to, like, excuse me, constantly turn the geo off and try to find the tongue, animate it from like the outside, and try to just guesstimate where I want to put
Yeah.
it. So.
And even like picker doesn't work well either. But
Yeah.
being able to see it and actually pose it, because like that's the thing for me, is not being able to see it, and I like seeing it from the back end.
Yep, I agree.
Then you whisper.
So we're all learning things here.
Like something about what's going on here. It's just too much.
Whispered that you loved me. Whispered that you loved me. You loved me.
Old Leo dentures.
See where this is. Okay, let's check this out, see how it looks from here.
I had never seen anything so perfect. Then you whispered that you loved me.
That's nice, getting that tongue
I like
animation
that.
in there. But with that, everybody, it's 11:45. We started at
Yeah.
9:30, so 9:30, 10:30, 11. 2 hour and 15 minute stream. That's pretty solid. Real quick, I want to switch over to show what Madison's working on. She's working on a really cool eye mask pose of worried, really
Cute,
stretched,
real worried.
scared.
We
So
got a sad. Oh, I just realized his upper brows stick right here a little bit.
yeah,
Fix
doing your
that.
poses in relative to each other, not just making them in a void, but making them next to each other to see how each one goes to each other
Helps.
makes a lot of difference. But
Like especially when I was doing like my lip sync, like just being able to see how they relate to each other. Or like see how his nose moves, it makes me so happy. And I'm just like scrubbing through. I'm like, yes,
squishy nose.
squishy. He real shocked. I don't know what news he just got, but I think he just got the news that he's going to be released into the world in a month. He's like, oh no.
But
He's scared.
with that, thank you guys for showing up and just listening to us ramble for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Appreciate you guys supporting and being excited about the rig with us and watching us animating. So we will call it for the night. Thanks, Madison, for helping along and streaming with me. And
Thank you for having me.
we probably won't have any more streams the rest of this week or Saturday.
Yeah.
But we will probably have one again on Monday. So thank you guys for showing up. We'll try to keep you updated on how streams are going to be going in the future. And look out for December 20th for pre-orders and January 3rd for the release. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have good dinner, good time with family. And I will see you guys later.
See you guys next week. Bye.